Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As some of you requested, here's another long stitch lace video. I have made a similar video with some other long stitch lace techniques. I put a link in the description if you want to take a look. I would actually recommend you watch that video first before you watch this one, how to knit lace part 1, where I'm showing the basic of these techniques, and I think it would be much easier to follow this video if you watch that one first. This is the first variation I'll be showing you. For this example, you will need a multiple of 6 numbers of needles to start with. Begin by pulling the needles all the way out. Now we will manually knit these needles. I'm going to call them long stitches and short stitches. Keep your yarn loose when you knit and pull the stitch all the way to the back. Now we will create 6 long stitches and then 6 short stitches across. Pull the long stitches downwards and attach some weight on them. After that, just give them a couple of twists using your transfer tool. I will then knit 4 rows on my main bed. You can knit as many rows as you like. It is better to pull your needles all the way out before knitting every row. Otherwise, the needles on which you have your twisted stitches might not knit. After knitting these 4 rows, I will do another long stitch, short stitch row, and I will alternate it with the previous one. So where we previously did a long stitch, we will now do a short one. Attach the weights and give the long stitches a couple of twists. Keep in mind that we are now looking at the right side of our sample. So we've now done one row with long stitches, 4 purl rows, and then another long stitches row. Now I will do my knit rows, which means I will transfer all the stitches from the main bed onto the reaper bed. When knitting a sample like this, you will have to move your carriage from one side to another quite a few times without knitting, and you can do that by pressing both partial cams on your main carriage and put the 2 lever cams on your reaper bed into P position. If you own a reaper and you do not have this tool, you must get one. They are really cheap. I got mine for £2. It is called a 2-eye transfer tool and it will help you save a lot of time. So now, using this magical tool, transfer all the stitches to the reaper bed. Please excuse how awkward I'm holding this tool. It is just a bit weird to do some of these easy tasks when you have a camera a few centimeters from your machine. I am knitting 4 rows. Good idea is to push the needles out before every row. One repeat done. Now if you want to do another repeat, transfer all the stitches back onto your main bed and start again from step 1. This was variation number 1. I will show you another design you can create using a very simple. For this example, I will first have to show you a different lace technique which looks very nice on its own, but which I did in between the long stitches rows. Transfer every other needle across. Put all the needles back in action and knit one row. So previously we transferred this stitch, now we will transfer the one on its right. And it will cover the float which was created after knitting the first row. And we'll repeat that row after row. It will look as the stitch is traveling to one side. For the design that I'm showing you today, I will only do 2 of these rows, but I would definitely recommend you try this technique on its own. It looks very nice. Moving on now to the actual sample, cast on multiple of 5 number of stitches. Begin just as before, all needles out and then 5 long stitches, 5 short stitches. Once we do that, we will also twist the long stitches 2 or 3 times. Then knit 2 rows. After that, we will do 2 rows of that lace technique I showed you before. And then knit another 2 rows. Now we will do another long stitch short stitch row, alternating the previous one. So where we previously had 5 long stitches, now we will have 5 short stitches. Again, we will give the long stitches a couple of twists. Now transfer all the needles onto the rubber bed. I will use a contrast yarn this time to make the sample look even more interesting. I am going to knit 6 rows. That was one repeat of the pattern. If you want to continue another repeat, transfer all the needles back onto your main bed. Then 5 long stitches, 5 short stitches, knit 2 rows, lace every other needle for 2 rows, knit another 2 rows, then long stitch, short stitch alternating the previous one, then transfer all the stitches onto the rubber bed and knit 6 rows, and repeat until you run out of yarn. I know that was a lot of rows and a lot of words. I really hope I'm making sense, but if you have any questions or if you don't understand something, just let me know and I'll try to help you. Here is the final sample, and I know it doesn't look like much in this yarn without a good wash. I haven't tried this technique in a different yarn, but this is wool, so once we wash it, it will look so much nicer. I just gave this sample a wash. Best is to use some delicate washing liquid if you wash a precious wool or cashmere jumper, but for samples you can just use a little bit of washing up liquid or hand soap, any kind of soap you have in your house really. I'm just going to pin the sample flat. I will pull the sample a little bit, but not too much, and I will leave it to dry up like that. Once it's all dry and you remove the pins, it will stay like that, and it does look so much better. One more thing I wanted to show you is how the long stitches would look if we wouldn't twist them. I prefer how the stitches look when they are twisted, but it's up to you how you do it for your samples. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon page and my Instagram. I have linked both of them in the description. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Elena and I'll see you next time.